Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pat's Pulpit Pregame Preview. My name is Rich Hill, and I'm here to talk about Week 16 between the Patriots and the New York Jets. With me, as always, is my good friend Alec Shane. Alec, how you doing?
Happy Festivus, Rich.
Oh,
Ho,
I like your
ho,
hat.
ho. Yeah, this is a good hat. It's my Patriots Santa hat. I've also got this festive Patriots Belichick do your job set sweatshirt. I am
Yes.
all decked out for the holidays. I am ready for a great weekend of football. Some really good games this weekend, highlighted or low-lighted by Patriots Jets, which won't be as interesting as other matchups around the league. But overall, I'm feeling holly and jolly.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of good reason for it, too. 2 days before Christmas. Tomorrow, the Patriots and hopefully the Colts could give New England one of the better presents possible, where if the Patriots win and then the Colts also win, then the Patriots claim home field advantage because the Colts are playing the Oakland Raiders, and the Raiders are the only team that can knock the Patriots out of the number one seed. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but Alec, before we break down the afternoon games, I have a few questions for you because this looks like a very strong week of games, and it's kicked off on Thursday night between the Giants and the Eagles. That was a pretty good game. I don't know if you got to watch any of that, but I think that it was a sign of a lot of really good head-to-head matchups. And I'm just going to run through these games, and I'm going to ask you of a storyline and how you think the game's going to play out.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, so first game, very relevant to the Patriots. Dolphins Bills. The Dolphins are 9-5. The Bills are 7-7. Score will be, and do you think Rex Ryan will save his job?
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are at Buffalo this afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and Rex Ryan is fighting for his job. There's rumors around they're already in the process of firing him. They're already linking Tom Coughlin to the head coaching job in Buffalo, which I'm not too happy about. I'll tell you that much right now. But again, the Bills are still alive technically in the postseason race, but their odds are pretty slim. They might see this as their Super Bowl, their chance to knock the Dolphins out, take them down with them. I'm actually going Buffalo on this one. It's going to be cold up in Western New York. The Bills are going to be fired up for it. I'm going to say the Buffalo takes a narrow win, something like 2017.
No, I agree with that. I think that the Bills finally pull this one off. I think that the Dolphins are playing on borrowed time right now. Backup quarterback Matt Moore only threw 18 passes against the Jets, completed 12 of them, but 4 of them were for touchdowns. That's an absolutely incredible performance. I don't think it's going to fly up with Buffalo. I think that Rex Ryan is coaching for his job. I don't know if he'll do enough to save it. I do think that he will be done at the end of this year. Some miraculous Christmas miracle occurs and Rex Ryan makes the playoffs. And they are technically not eliminated. Everything could fall into place where if the Bills win this week, then the Dolphins lose out against the Patriots in Week 17. If the Broncos lose out, if the Titans and the Texans and the Steelers and the Ravens, if they all lose, if they all come out with 9-7 or 8-8 records, then the Bills have the slimmest of chances of making it. I think that's the only way that Rex Ryan can save his job. Next game, Chargers versus Browns. The Chargers are 5-9. The Browns are 0-14. Do you think that the Browns can save themselves from going winless this year?
Well, this is probably their last chance. They're home against San Diego. Again, it'll probably be chilly up there. San Diego's a warm weather team, obviously. And they close out the season at Pittsburgh. So they're probably not going to win in Pittsburgh unless, for whatever reason, the Steelers have everything wrapped up and they rest everybody next week. So this is probably their last chance. It's the season of goodwill towards men and cheery and being charitable. So I'm going to pick the Browns in this one just because I don't think anybody deserves to go 0-16. The Scrooge in me is kind of rooting for it, just watching that kind of ineptitude, especially when you ship guys like Jamie Collins off there because he's being a malcontent or whatever it is. You don't want to see the kind of guys get their comeuppance, but just the charitable person in me is going to go with the Browns winning a very low-scoring game, like 13-9.
Yeah, I think this is a game where Philip Rivers throws one of his trademark fourth quarter turnovers. Whatever's going to happen, they're going to be maybe down 3 points, up 3 points, but Philip Rivers is going to have a turnover in the final 5 minutes of the game, and it's going to allow the Browns to win this one. That's my gut feeling on this. Next game, not in the AFC, but Vikings versus Packers. The Packers are 8-6. My question to you, Packers for real?
I think they are, in that they're going to be in the postseason. I still think they win the NFC North. The real question mark is now that Dallas has everything kind of locked up. Do they mail it in these last 2 weeks against the Lions on Saturday as well? But what I really want to know more so is what happened to the Minnesota Vikings? How do you start 5-0, take a bye week, and then completely implode? It makes no sense, and I don't see them righting the ship this week in Lambeau, where the Packers are very much alive and fighting for that 3 or 4 seed. So Packers should win this one big, I think.
I agree. I think that Aaron Rodgers has really turned a corner. I don't know if they will make the playoffs. That's a very, very tight race out in the NFC. I do think that the Packers win this. I think that Aaron Rodgers, they finally found a running back in Ty Montgomery, who has replaced Eddie Lacy due to all of his injuries. But Ty Montgomery has been a big surprise for them. I think that the Packers have been excelling. I think that they had a good defense early on and it kind of fell apart. I think everything's coming together for them. They are a team that I would not want to face in the playoffs. Although I do think that for whatever reason, the Packers are a team that just fall apart in the postseason. It's not because of the cold. It's not because they can't run the ball. I think that they just don't have the necessary gumption to come through. So I do think that they win this week. I don't know if they make any noise over the rest of the year. Next game, Titans versus Jaguars. The Titans are 8-6. The Jaguars are 2-12. I'm pretty sure I made a joke earlier in the year. Like, I think this was week 5 or 6, whatever they played each other before, that this was the Josh McDaniels Bowl. Whichever team won it got Josh McDaniels to coach their young up-and-coming quarterback. The Titans are on the brink of making the playoffs. They are tied. They are neck and neck with the Houston Texans atop the NFC South. The Jaguars are battling for the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft. Again, the Jaguars are just terrible year in, year out. It's clear that if there is a team that gets Josh McDaniels, it will be the Jaguars. It's hard to see the Titans firing Mike Mularkey after this year. Do you think that the Titans are actually going to make the playoffs? And do you think that they're more of a threat than the Houston Texans going through a quarterback change?
I mean, the Titans probably have an easier road to the playoffs. I believe the Texans played the Bengals, which isn't also an overly difficult game, but it's a harder game than the Jaguars. And it's funny, if you look at the Jaguars roster, there's some talent on that team on both sides of the ball. Good defensive players, good receivers. Blake Bortles is still kind of an enigma. I'm not exactly sure what he brings to the table, but there's talent on that team. So if they get the right coach in there, maybe they can make a run. And the AFC South is weak enough, so maybe they can pull it together. But the Titans have a very strong running game. They're stingy on defense when they have to be. They can win on the road, as evidenced by their Kansas City win. So they could be that one kind of dark horse team that has a big upset wildcard weekend. And who knows? It could very possibly be Titans-Patriots in the divisional round. Who knows?
No, that's very true. I actually think that might be how it plays out because I'm a believer of this Titans team. I really like how they have built their roster. I've actually been talking about this a little bit over the years, specifically in the past couple of years as more and more defenses went to the nickel. As they started to defend the pass, everyone got a little bit lighter on their defensive fronts. And that just leaves them very, very susceptible to these big running backs that can just hammer the ball. You know, we're talking about the LeGarrette Blunts. We're talking about the Derrick Henrys and the DeMarco Murrays. These guys who are 6 feet, 220 plus pounds. And these guys are having a field day. The Titans' offensive line dictating the pace of the game. I think that they're not going to have a problem with the Jaguars. Although I agree with you. I think that the Jaguars have a lot of talent on there, and whoever is their head coach will be able to put them in a good position. I just don't think Gus Bradley is a good coach. I think that this is a game that the Titans win, and I would rather face the Houston Texans than I would want to face the Tennessee Titans because I think that the Texans are very, very predictable for the Patriots and for a lot of other teams. I think that you know what you're going to get with them. They don't have a good quarterback. They're going to throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to hand it off to Lamar Miller, and that's their entire offensive game plan. They don't have J.J. Watt, so their defense is pretty okay. I think that with the Titans, there are just a lot more threats you actually have to worry about.
No, I agree. So, I'm with you.
Yeah, and so moving on to that game, let's talk about the Texans. Bengals versus Texans. That's going to be Saturday night. We'll come back to Colts Raiders towards the end. But Bengals Texans. The Bengals are 5-8-1. The Texans are 8-6. Tom Savage has taken over for Brock Osweiler at quarterback. Is Brock Osweiler the worst contract that has been given out over the past few years?
You know, it's funny. I was talking with some friends of mine about whether or not Brock Osweiler might have inadvertently screwed or helped the Patriots in the Jimmy Garoppolo sweepstakes that'll be taking place this offseason. Will other teams see Brock Osweiler, what he hasn't done for his $72 million as a precautionary tale? And will the market be much more wary when they want to deal for Garoppolo? Will his draft and stock value go down? or will they see what he did over the course of the season and they want to make sure they lock him up and do a more better job with it? So I'm very curious to see how that kind of plays out. But I'm looking at this game and I really can't get a read on it. The Texans have much more to play for, obviously, than the Bengals do, but the Texans are just really good at choking in big moments. And I can see the Bengals coming in here into Houston. I believe it's at Houston this Saturday night, and just kind of the Texans laying an egg. And I probably won't be watching this because A Wonderful Life's on TV on NBC, and you got to watch that Christmas Eve. Not only that, the 24 Hours of Christmas Story has started already. So this game probably won't get a whole lot of views from me, but hopefully the Texans win this because, as you said, I want to see Houston in the playoffs. So whatever kind of scenario plays out, haven't done the math, that allows Houston to come to New England. I guess give them the best chances to come to New England in week 2 of the playoffs. I'm all for that, whatever that scenario is.
No, I agree. I think that everyone on the Patriots will be pulling for the Texans just because there's so many connections. Bill O'Brien, George Godsey, Romeo Crennel, top to bottom, there are so many connections. Finsville Fork, I miss that guy. Great guy. But I do think that this is a game that I would not be shocked if the Bengals won, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals won it handily, just because I don't think the Texans are a good team. I don't know how they've done this. I don't know how they're 8-6. I don't know how Bill O'Brien has kept this team afloat in playoff contention for the past 2 years, with guys like Ryan Mallett and Tom Savage and Brian Hoyer just being trotted out and leading the offense. I don't know how they do that. I'm just impressed that they're able to do that consistently, but I don't think that they're a good team. I think that we're going to watch Andy Dalton connect with Brandon LaFell for like 150 yards, and I think that the Bengals are going to win this one.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to root for the Texans, but again, the Bengals. This is a classic Bengals win. They're already out of the playoffs. They're just playing spoiler at this point, and they finally put a complete game together after the fact.
Absolutely. All right, and then there's 3 more games that I want to highlight right now before we move on to Patriots versus Jets. First one, it's Christmas Eve game. Again, this is the Colts-Raiders game that we were talking about. The Colts are 7-7, playing for their postseason lives. The Raiders are 11-3, and they are playing for home field advantage, as well as trying to stay on top of the AFC West. The Colts are coming off of a very surprising 38-7 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. They absolutely dominated them. And the Raiders, they're kind of floundering. They barely overcame the San Diego Chargers. They needed a late turnover to seal that victory. Do you think that the Raiders are going to be able to hold off Andrew Luck and the Colts? And do you think that the Patriots are going to clinch home field advantage this weekend?
As much as I'd love to root for the Colts to win this one, I don't really see it happening, honestly. There was a 34-6, I believe it was, against Minnesota, who they're just not really a good team. It was on the road, granted, and that was probably the most complete game the Colts have put together in 2016. But the Raiders, they just find a way to win, and you got to give them credit where credit is due. Oakland is a difficult place to play. It's a good home field advantage. The Colts obviously have their backs against the wall. I believe they need to win out, and the Texans, there's a lot of weird things need to happen in the AFC South for the Colts to clinch the 3 or 4 seed, but that definitely includes them winning out. So they're already in playoff mode. That could help. But given what I've seen from the Colts as a season as a whole, their resume doesn't really impress me too much. So unfortunately, I think the Patriots will be playing for home field advantage in Week 17.
I'm going to go opposite of you. I think that the Colts are going to win this one, but they're not going to make the playoffs. It's kind of like they're going to catch the snitch, but they're going to lose the World Cup. I think that you see this Colts team. I think they have a lot of talent. Andrew Luck, despite everything, has been playing out of his mind this year. They do not have a good offensive line in Indianapolis, but he's really connecting with T.Y. Hilton, who is a great wide receiver. I think that Frank Gore is just never going to disappear off the face of the earth. He is half android. I don't know how he keeps doing it. But I think that this Raiders team, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they have a good defense outside of Khalil Mack. And I think that Andrew Luck is going to light them up. I do. I think that Andrew Luck is going to put up high 20s, low 30 points on this Raiders team. And I don't think that the Colts have a good enough defense to slow the Raiders, but I do think that this will be a shootout, and I trust Andrew Luck more than I do Derek Carr.
Hope you're right, buddy. I would love to see that because nothing would give me a Merry Christmas like a Patriots #1 seed locked up before the season's over. Gives them time to rest their starters, especially with Tom Brady 0-3 in his last 3 trips to Miami. I'm pulling for the Colts, but again, I think the Raiders pull this one out.
No, absolutely. I mean, we were talking about 0-3 last 3 times they went to Denver too, though. So don't count your chickens before they hatch.
It's true.
But also, speaking of early Christmas presents, Baltimore Ravens Pittsburgh Steelers, Christmas Day, 425. The Ravens are playing for the AFC North. If the Steelers win, they clinch it. Who do you think will win, and who would you rather win?
Pittsburgh's answer to both those questions, Rich. I think they're in Pittsburgh. I don't remember if Roethlisberger was playing or how healthy he was the last time these two teams met in Baltimore. I know the Ravens won that one. The Ravens have actually owned this series as of late. But Pittsburgh's coming into their own. They're really hitting their postseason stride. And I also think that if Pittsburgh wins on Christmas Day, they clinch the AFC North outright. And that kind of hat and t-shirt game is the game you get up for, especially on Christmas Day. I'm really excited for this. Usually by 4:30 on Christmas Day, I'm good and hydrated watching bad basketball. Very excited for this matchup. I think the Steelers pull this one out. And hopefully it'll be a Christmas miracle and the Ravens will be out of the postseason.
Oh, that would be fantastic because I am not afraid of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that the Ravens have shown that it doesn't matter. Joe Flacco could be playing on no legs. He could be throwing it to an 80-year-old Steve Smith Sr., and he's still going to find a way to make it this close of a game in the fourth quarter. And I would just love it for them not to be in there. I think with the Steelers, as I was saying with the Texans, if the team is predictable, if you know what's going to happen, if you know they're going to throw it to Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell, it makes it a little bit easier to defend because you can kind of make them one-dimensional. If you limit everyone else, or if you can say, all right, well, I'm going to just completely wipe out Antonio Brown with triple teams, you can try and beat me with your number 4 wide receiver, or you can dump it off to Le'Veon Bell where we're going to have 3 other guys teaming up on him. But I think that with the Steelers, it's a little more predictable and a little easier for the Patriots to defend. I know that they didn't do a great job earlier in the year, but I think that the Patriots defense is a lot better now than it was then. And no one can attest better to that than the Denver Broncos, who will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas afternoon, or I guess Christmas night, Sunday Night Football. Broncos are playing for their playoff lives. They're 8-6. The Chiefs are 10-4. They are trying to stay alive in the AFC West. They need to keep winning, and they need the Raiders to drop one. Alec, do you think that the Broncos will win? Or do you think that the Broncos, would you rather them be the number 6 seed than the Miami Dolphins?
No, it's a good question. Obviously my knee-jerk reaction is you want the Broncos to lose at all times. And I think they will lose this game. Arrowhead, Christmas night, I believe the Chiefs can clinch a playoff spot with a win. That's going to be a really tough place to play, particularly given that offense that Denver Broncos don't have. That offense is atrocious right now. I don't know whether the loss of C.J. Anderson has completely just decimated the team. I don't know what it is, but that offense cannot move the ball right now. And the Chiefs defense is good. And I guess if maybe the Broncos defense can play out of its mind and they can win like 6-3, I can see that happening. But, it's funny. It really will probably come down to the Broncos, Baltimore Ravens, or the Miami Dolphins sneaking in as that 6th seed. And if you're a Patriots fan, those are 3 teams you aren't exactly warm and cheery about. So which one do you really want to see in there? And right now, I don't know. I really don't.
No, I agree. I feel like we haven't seen the Dolphins in a long time. Week 2 is years away. I mean, just ask the Patriots. This team, top to bottom, is entirely different from what was going on in week 2. Same thing applies for the Dolphins, who are coming off of just a monstrous 34-13 domination of the New York Jets, who are the Patriots' opponent. But you look at this Dolphins team, they have Matt Moore at quarterback because Ryan Tannehill's done. Matt Moore did very well against the Jets. He completed 12 passes, 4 of them for touchdowns. That was a very, very great performance. The Jay Ajayi has been very consistent for them as a good runner over the course of the year. Jarvis Landry is always great. Kenny Stills is a deep threat. They have some talent out there. But I think the story of the year for the Dolphins has been the emergence of Cameron Wake. And he has come back from his Achilles injury. He looks as good as ever. He has been absolutely dominant. I think that between him and Jordy Nelson, one of them is going to win comeback player of the year. I would not be surprised if it was Cameron Wake. But you put Wake out there with Ndamukong Suh. Mario Williams is finally happy out there. I think that this is a very good Dolphins team. And I think that for as good as the Broncos defense is, and they are infinitely better than the Dolphins defense, part of me is a little more afraid of the question marks with the Dolphins offense than I am with the Broncos, where I don't know what to expect out of this Dolphins offense. Whereas when you look at the Broncos and say, they're going to throw it to Emmanuel Sanders or Demaryius Thomas. That's where the ball's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen with this Dolphins offense.
Yeah, and there's also the familiarity. That'll be the third time these two teams have met should they meet in the playoffs. As you said, week 2 was light years away. Jacoby Brissett finished that game, and they had to hang on after a strong start. Very different team on both sides, Miami and New England. I don't think Jay Ajayi was really a factor back then either. So it really is two different teams playing each other on week 17. And the Dolphins, all the Dolphins have wanted is to make the playoffs. Since 2008 was the last time they made it, and they lost right away. And that was the Tom Brady-less year. So this might be, for a lot of Dolphins fans and players, a real chance to knock off the reigning champs. And if you think about the last time there was an AFC East matchup in the playoffs, it was Patriots-Jets, and it did not end too well. And that was in Foxborough. So I think just the AFC East rivalry makes me want, amazingly, maybe to see the Denver Broncos come to Foxborough, because I think the Denver Broncos cannot win in Foxborough, regardless of their defense. I cannot see Trevor Siemian putting the team on his back on the road at Gillette in January. I just don't see it.
I agree. And that may be a little bit of hubris right there, but I'll stand by that. But before we look at the Dolphins, let's break down the New York Jets right now. Alec, the Patriots played the Jets back in week 12. This is 5 weeks ago. The Patriots won 22-17. They held on at the end thanks to a Chris Long fumble recovery. The Patriots did not play that well that game. They lost Rob Gronkowski early on. They lost Martellus Bennett early on. Gronkowski for the season, Bennett he came back, but he was clearly limited with an ankle injury. The Patriots offense was not great at that game. But the Jets, they have imploded since then. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was getting back into the cycle to be good Ryan Fitzpatrick, was out. And then last week, Bryce Petty, who suffered the Fitzpatrick curse, the Fitz tragic, where Bryce Petty got hurt. Fitzpatrick came in. Fitzpatrick was terrible. I think the coaching staff said, you know what, Bryce Petty, we know that your ribs are hanging on by chewing gum, but we're going to put you out there again. Good luck. Matt Forte is probably not going to play. He's dealing with, I believe, knee and shoulder injuries, so he's not going to be out there. Brandon Marshall is dealing with back injuries as well. So this Jets team is not the same, and specifically their defense has not been great. They beat the San Francisco 49ers in week 14 in overtime. I'll give them that, even though the 49ers are a terrible team. They lost to the Colts and the Dolphins week 13, week 15 by a combined score of 75-23. They averaged 37.5 points against this Jets defense. The Jets have the worst pass defense in the NFL, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. They are terrible. Darrelle Revis is not good. Do you think that the Patriots, Tom Brady handed the ball off a lot last week against the Broncos. Do you think he's going to uncork it against the Jets?
You go back to that week 12 matchup, and the Patriots offense did not look good. But I really do think, you watch the always conversation always comes back to the Patriots with and without Rob Gronkowski. And when Rob Gronkowski is in there and he starts, he's part of their game plan. Their game plan is going to revolve around Rob Gronkowski running routes, getting the ball, throwing blocks, etc. And when he is suddenly knocked out, they have to adjust on the fly. And no one's better than that than the New England Patriots. But now that they know Gronk is out, he's not going to be there for the rest of the year. They've adjusted their offensive system, I think. And I think you'll be able to see that a lot more in this new matchup against the Jets. Plus, Deion Lewis is getting healthier every single week. He looked pretty good last week against Denver. I think he had 95 yards on the ground plus some catches. So he's going to be a new factor in there. I feel like this is the situation where the Jets, not only have they imploded, but a lot of them have given up. I feel like on the season, even along the defensive line, Wilkerson, Richardson, these guys don't seem to care anymore. There's video galore of Revis just not chasing down tacklers or giving up on plays. And it just makes you wonder, will they continue to just not mail it in, or will they be like, all right, this is it. We'll get up for this one game. We'll bring it in Foxborough. I don't know. I feel like the Patriots are going to come in here. They're going to roll. They're going to know what's up. Bill Belichick's going for his 200th win as a head coach. I think he's 199-71, I believe, is his record right now. And I know it'd be special for him to get his 200th win against the team he resigned on a napkin from. That'd be really cool for him.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But I do have to say that, what was it? What's the number? Like 7 out of the past 8 of the past 9 games between the Patriots and the Jets have finished as one-score games. So I'm not convinced that this is going to be a blowout in either direction, although I do think that if it were, it would clearly be by the Patriots. I think it would be a complete, absolute shock if it were by the Jets. But you look at this Jets team, They don't have a single Pro Bowler on it. They are one of 6 teams not to have a Pro Bowler. They along with, I believe, the Jaguars, I think those are the only 2 AFC teams not to have a Pro Bowler. And you look at the cap situation for this New York Jets team, and in 2017, they are in the 3rd worst cap situation. They're actually $2.5 million over the projected cap, which means that they're going to have to cut or restructure a lot of players before free agency even starts. And you're looking at who is going to be out there. Darrelle Revis is clearly an albatross out there, but Buster Screen is also terrible. Muhammad Wilkerson has been completely lackluster in his first year of being a $100 million man. Sheldon Richardson is entering the final year of his contract. He's been garbage. He was the one that was caught on video saying that he'd rather be out looking for the ladies, but he used a less glamorous word instead of getting ready to play the Dolphins. So this is not a good Jets team right now. They are not in a good situation to build moving forward. Where did they go wrong?
I think what they did is they draft quarterbacks high. They throw the quarterbacks in. They don't give them a very long leash. And when they don't perform immediately, they cut them and draft another quarterback high. And I think obviously another big problem was I think Fitzpatrick screwed him last year by playing so well. I think if he'd come in and they'd been another 7-9 team, 8-8, they wouldn't have given him the contract. They would have had another year of development. I mean, they drafted Christian Hackenberg. I don't know why they drafted Hackenberg. They've redshirted him completely. It's a quarterback league. I think they drafted for a long time under Rex Ryan to beat the Patriots. They loaded up on defense on the defensive line so they could sack Tom Brady. You don't draft and build a roster so you can beat one specific team. That screwed them. I think that Darrelle Revis screwed him in the contract that he commanded from them when they poached him back from the Patriots. I think they basically let Belichick get into their head. They built their team around the Patriots and what they do, and the Patriots are still winning, and the Jets are going in the wrong direction. That's all I can really think about. And obviously there's just bad upper management, but you can't really fix that. It's more just kind of on the field stuff, and I don't know how you fix it. I think if you're the Jets, you have to basically just take a mulligan year and just clean house and hope you hit on a couple of draft picks and just see if you can bring somebody in.
No, it's true. I mean, last year they had the oldest roster in the NFL. They lost to Brickashaw Ferguson to retirement, but they retained a lot of their old players. Ryan Fitzpatrick's 34 this year. They signed Matt Forte, who's 31. You got Brandon Marshall, who's 32. Next year, Eric Decker is going to be 30. They have a really old team. They do have to start over. I mean, some teams are able to rebuild on the fly. The Patriots are the clear and prime example of it. But it's hard to rebuild on the fly when you have nothing to build from. And I think that you look at this Jets team and you say, all right, who are the cornerstone players? Quincy Enunwa, I think, is fantastic. I love how he plays. He's 24. He's like 6'2", 225 pounds, looks like a tight end. Absolutely crazy form out there. Then you have Bilal Powell. I like him. I think that he can be a good running back, but he's 28. And I think that Robbie Anderson has come on strong as of late. He has 544 receiving yards. He has shown a clear connection with Bryce Petty because both of them were on the scout team for a while. But I think across the board, this Jets team does not have a lot of young talent that has proven themselves. Other than Leonard Williams on the defensive line, outstanding player, reminds me of Richard Seymour, but like possibly better. I mean, they have talent there, but they don't really put it together. I don't know where this Jets team can start over. On offense, I mean, we look at this Patriots defense. They've been playing out of their mind over the past 5 weeks. And I don't see a reason or a way for the Jets to overcome that, especially with a banged-up Bryce Petty. I think that if the Patriots get one sack on him early on in the game, and I could see Matt Patricia dialing up some pressures early on, I think that if Bryce Petty goes down to the ground, not saying that they're going to try and hurt him, I hope that they wouldn't do that, but he has bad injuries to his ribs. If he goes down and if he gets sore, then that will greatly affect his throwing motion. And I don't think that the Jets have a strong enough offensive line. They just put their right guard, Brian Winters, on the injured reserve. They don't have a good enough offensive line to overcome that.
No, they don't. And, Bill Belichick, as against rookie quarterbacks, has a pretty good record. And the only thing concerning about that, Rich, is if they do sack Bryce Petty early, he gets injured, and he goes out, who's coming in? Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's going to light it up because that's what he does. But assuming that's not the case, let's assume that Bryce Petty gets a full 60 minutes. He's the starter for the Jets on Saturday. What if the Jets are going to pull out the win, pull out the upset? How are they going to do it?
A lot of turnovers. That's the only way I can see it. Darrelle Revis has a career game. He picks off Tom Brady. The Patriots are going to have to struggle to move the ball. I don't see how that happens, but the Jets are going to have to buckle down and say, all right, Tom Brady, you're going to throw the ball 50 times against us because we know you're not going to run it against Sheldon Richardson, Leonard Williams, and Muhammad Wilkerson. We know you're going to throw it 50 times in the flat. We're going to be really good at tackling. If the Jets are exceptional tacklers, which they are not, if they're able to do that, then maybe they can limit the Patriots again down to 22 points. And then if they get a special team score, if there's a busted coverage, there are ways for it to happen. But I looked at the stat. The Patriots are the only team in the NFL not to allow a touchdown of 30 or more yards over the course of the year. And every other team has given up at least 2. And so this Patriots team is built on not making mistakes. And I don't see how they start right now. But, I mean, there's a reason why the Patriots are 17-point favorites. And so, Alec, as we get into this, what is your prediction for this game?
Game prediction. This is, again, I know the history favors a close game between the Patriots and Jets. As of this taping, we don't know if Todd Bowles will even be there. He was diagnosed with an illness and hospitalized. Who knows if that'll affect the Jets' strategy and game plan or whatnot. The only thing I can think that would stall the Patriots here is if they just come out flat. They have too much Christmas. They have too much eggnog maybe on the way in, and they're just not really feeling it. They've already got their first round bye. They're already overlooking the Jets. They're already thinking the playoffs, and they just come out and completely crap the bed. Don't think that's going to happen because I know they haven't locked up home field yet, and the Oakland game's at the same time, I believe, as the
afterwards.
It's afterwards because they won't even know. So they definitely won't know regardless, and they have to win this game to keep ahead of the Oakland Raiders. So I think the Patriots, I don't think they cover the spread. I'm going to say a 14-point win. So I'm going to go 24-10.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the Patriots definitely cover. I think that the Patriots, this is going to be a game where they come out. They have been proving messages every single week. They've been proving that they can run the ball. They've been proving that they can pass the ball. They've been proving that their defense can carry the day. I think that this is going to be a game where everyone comes together, has an emphatic performance. I think that the Patriots offense finally shows up in full. They'll put up 37 points. I think that the Jets offense, they're going to get a garbage time score. I wouldn't be surprised if I've jinxed them, and now they're going to get a garbage time 35-yard touchdown. And so I think that the Patriots are ultimately going to win 37-17.
37-17. I guess we usually do X Factors. I'll do X Factors. I'm going to go with Chris Hogan as my X Factor this time. He's been a stalwart of the offense the past couple of weeks. He had a couple drops against Denver, but mostly he's been a big factor. Had a big 79-yard bomb against the Ravens. I think he's going to be the guy on offense for me. That's kind of that unique aspect. And I'm actually going with Chris Long on the defensive side of the ball. He's really come into his own. He had the big strip sack last time against the Jets. He kind of disappeared earlier on in the season. I think he's rounding into form as the defense gets good and Trey Flowers continues to emerge. I think he's really benefiting from the Trey Flowers factor. So Chris Long's my defensive X factor here.
Those are good. I like that. On defense for me, I think Kyle Van Noy will be my defensive X factor. I think that he's done a great job, but I think that his role will be especially important against Bilal Powell in coverage. That'll be something definitely to watch. I think that the Patriots will try and stack the box against Bryce Petty in there because I feel like the Jets are going to try and hand the ball off, especially with Petty being injured and everything. So I think Kyle Van Noy will have to be asked to watch the running back in the flat. That is who I will be watching on defense. And on offense, comes down to Joe Thuney. I think that he will match up with Leonard Williams a lot or Sheldon Richardson, either or. I think that you look at every other position on the line. I think that Nate Solder and Marcus Cannon have formed a top 5 offensive tackle pairing in the NFL. I don't think that's an exaggeration, which is crazy to say. Shaq Mason has been an extremely reliable guard. I would say that he's in the top 3rd guards in the league. David Andrews, you know what you're going to get out of him. He's very, very consistent. I don't think that you will get an exceptional performance out of him, but he's very solid. You're not going to get a terrible performance out of him. And so, to me, it comes down to Joe Thuney. If he can keep Tom Brady clean in the pocket, there's going to be no problem for New England over the course of the day. And we'll figure out more tomorrow when the Patriots and the Jets play at 1 p.m. We will have more information at patspulpit.com. Alec, do you have any final thoughts?
All the best to you and your family this holiday. All you guys out there watching, thank you for tuning in this crazy 2016 season. Hope you all have a great Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Hope it's a good one. Enjoy it, and let's go Patriots.
Absolutely. And everyone stay safe out there. I know it's cold, and we'll see you next time.